Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return once more with our F1 Manager 22 Ferrari career mode. Yes, I apologise. Yesterday we couldn't get a video out in the end. I had a few issues trying to record. So apologies, but we are back today once more. Obviously, if you missed out on the video that went live earlier on today, where we went into the US Grand Prix on our F1 My Team series, would highly recommend going back and checking that one out. But today, yeah, we return this evening at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Of course, the Canadian Grand Prix back on the calendar in 2022. And yeah, if you missed out the last video from this series that went live a couple of days ago from Azerbaijan, things got spicy in probably the way you wouldn't quite expect at the end of the weekend. But yeah, we will give you spoilers in just a moment, so this is your warning to go back and check that video out. Of course, at the time we're recording this as well, we are very, very close to 82,000 subscribers. Of course, trying to hit 100k by the end of the year, so if you're not already, please do make sure to leave a like and get yourself subscribed. But yeah, constructors-wise at the moment, though, we are still absolutely walking away with it. We've got, what, a 92-point lead now over Red Bull as we head into the Canadian GP. Championship-wise, though, things are getting a little bit more spicy there. Charles Leclerc now just 15 points ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. Of course, Carlos taking another race victory last time around in Baku by virtue of a well-timed virtual safety car, even I should say. But yeah, as we head into this weekend, looks like we have got a few little bits and pieces. We've got some underfloor manufacturing to complete. We've got some front wings to complete as well. You know, all little bits and pieces like that. So far, both drivers have actually kept the cars pretty clean this season, but I'm wondering whether at some point we'll see some more chaos and carnage, and Canada can often be a track to provide that. So yeah, I'm going to sort out a couple of little bits and pieces behind the scenes, and I'll see you guys ready for free practice at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Formula One is back in Montreal. Let's hope it's not going to be Groundhog Day. The local rodents have disrupted more than one race day here in the past. The Canadian Grand Prix is ready to kick off, and the only drama on the tracks we want to see is the best drivers in the world battling it out for a place on that podium. Gilles Villeneuve is a quick, free-flowing circuit in parts, with a stop-start aspect thrown in for good measure around the chicanes and hairpin bends. Medium-speed downforce will play a large part in avoiding the wall of champions and ensuring success at this iconic track. The season is about halfway through, and it makes me wonder what else is in store for the teams. Well, there's only one way to find out. Okay then, let's get to it.
Right, well here we are then, back at the Canadian Grand Prix. Oh no. It worries me that immediately my reaction to heavy rain there is just to assume we are going to mess it up. But yeah, the one race we've had so far this year didn't quite go to plan, so maybe this one can be a little bit better for us. But yeah, practice and qualifying day all meant to be pretty sunny, and then yeah, Sunday is meant to be an absolute storm, of course. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, very, very high speed though, so should theoretically suit our car quite well, of course. Often we've found we do have a big advantage around the low-speed circuits. High-speed stuff though, we are still the fastest car, but Red Bull seem to be able to stay a little bit closer there. Of course, Azerbaijan last weekend, Red Bull, you know, they were still within a pit stop towards the end and could have won that race had we not just sort of nailed the strategy very, very late on. But yeah, I suppose let's get into practice then here from Canada. Of course, don't really feel like setting the car up perfectly on Friday is going to be worth it, because we're going to need more wing and a bit less camber and things like that come Sunday. Right, so I am still listening to the feedback from you guys as well, and some of you have been saying, you know, it's better to try and do some slightly shorter runs so you can get as much detail as you can from the team. I have tried that a couple of times, and it hasn't quite worked out as well as I would have wanted there. As you can see, Charles Leclerc peeling out of the pit lane. Pretty much every weekend we try and get the cars out as early as we can into free practice. But yeah, I mean, they're both pretty good on the knowledge of obviously all the car parts. Haven't got any more major upgrades coming in this weekend, but yeah, I'm just trying to tweak around a few little things still from time to time, of course, this season to hopefully, you know, I mean, we don't really need any more of an edge than we've already got, but, you know, we're trying new things, of course. At the end of Season 1, it is pretty much now a guarantee, I think, with how well the start of the year's gone, that we will be moving away from Ferrari. I'm going to be leaving that down to you guys to vote in the future as well, but I have got a couple of teams in mind that I would love to go to, but yeah, of course, we've still got to try and bring Ferrari the World Championship come the end of this season, but, you know, halfway through nearly, we're looking pretty good on that regard. There we go. Charles Leclerc very happy with the car immediately in free practice there, as he's just gone quicker than his teammate Carlos Sainz. It was actually Carlos that had been setting the pace up to now. Sainz is back into the garage, though, doing a slightly shorter run. But yeah, we'll wait and see how he feels about it. As oh, we've got someone spinning out down in Sector 1. Not too sure. I think that is one of the Williams cars there. Hopefully we'll get confirmation. Yep, there we go. And rather unsurprisingly, of course it's Latifi. Let's see what he's done. Down in towards turn 4 there. He had Sainz right behind him. And, yeah, just, you know, a Latifi pirouette. Why not? You know, we can tick that off the bingo list nice and early on in the weekend. Well, we haven't had much particularly brilliant data coming from Carlos Sainz this session. Leclerc pretty much came straight out and was happy with the setup, but Sainz has struggled a little bit more here with just less than 6 minutes on the clock. In terms of laps, though, both drivers have done pretty well there. Charles Leclerc up to 40 laps in this session, much more than we've seen anyone do there. It looks like Perez and a handful of others are all on 36 there, but Leclerc with two very decent runs on the hard compound tyres. Sainz, though, yeah, hopefully should get pretty close to that number of mileage by the end of the session, but we are just trying to tweak things so he just builds up more confidence in the car. Despite that, though, he is still faster than Charles, so if someone can explain that to me, that would be grand. Oh, here we go, right at the end of FP1 then. Who's binned it? Is it a Williams? Is it someone else? Hopefully we'll get to have a look at it in just... Oh, it's the other Williams of Alex Albon. I did wonder whether it was Latifi again. Heading down in towards turn 1 then. What has Latifi... what has Albon managed? Sorry, force a habit.
That crash is terrible news for the team.
That... Albon there has genuinely left me speechless, which for those of you that watch a lot of my videos know, maybe for better or for worse, doesn't happen often, but that's going to be the end then of free practice. Max Verstappen fastest there, a couple of tenths ahead of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, but he was on soft compound tyres in comparison to our hard, so reassuring pace from the team, as you would expect there. Pierre Gasly as well, another very strong performer in free practice, but yeah, let's jump into qualifying then. I might start skipping Q1s and Q2s, of course, because we basically are just setting ourselves up ready for Q3. But, yeah, in case we get any issues, I'm worried now I'm going to jinx it, but I'll see you guys ready for qualifying. Imperium experiences are back and better than ever. This time they are offering you the chance to win a weekend of a lifetime at the 2022 season finale in Abu Dhabi. This includes a 4-night accommodation at a 5-star hotel and travel to and from the circuit included every day. All you need to do is click the link down in my description and enter the competition on their website. But hurry, with only 1,500 tickets available and the competition closing on the 14th of September, you definitely don't want to miss out on this. So click the link down in the description below, and a massive thank you to Imperium for sponsoring this video.
Thank you for joining us as we proceed to qualifying and the fight for pole begins. For those teams who made the most of free practice, they'll be heading into qualifying full of confidence, knowing that they can carry today's momentum into the upcoming session. Does practice make perfect? Well, for one standout driver, it will make for pole. Let the competition commence.
Well, there we go then. End of free practice 3, and it was Charles Leclerc there, just a tenth or so clear of Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen. There's Sergio Perez, though, right on the money as well this weekend, so maybe Sergio is going to go quite well around a track that he's, well, I mean, he's always good at saving tyres everywhere. But yeah, a bit of a gap back to Hamilton, though, and again, Pierre Gasly up there mixing it with the Mercedes. Could he and AlphaTauri have really unlocked some key potential that they desperately need in that car? But like I said, we're going to skip through Q1 and Q2 here. We are just going to jump straight into Q3. Of course, it's pretty samey most weeks. It's normally Mick Schumacher, the Astons and the Williams out in Q1. You sometimes get a little bit more of a show in Q2. But of course, for us, we're just really focused on what's going on at the front. And then, of course, preparing ourselves for Sunday. Well, got to make sure we try and get both cars out onto the circuit nice and early. Then, like I said, no major surprises in Q1 or Q2. In fact, Q1 was exactly as I said. Mick Schumacher, both Astons, both Williams out in that first session. But, yeah, into Q3, though, of course, we have got the usual suspects. Both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, both Mercs. They're both AlphaTauris. Kevin Magnussen and Valtteri Bottas. So K-Mag, went really well here in qualifying in real life. Fingers crossed he can do the same in the F1 Manager Ferrari career mode, as we're going to ride on board then with Sainz for his first lap here in Q3 there. Oh, right up towards the Wall of Champions at the final corner. Carlos Sainz is certainly about to be on a push lap here as we head down towards Stillman. Incredibly bumpy as you try and keep the car on the right-hand side through the little right-hand kink there through turn 2. Super difficult, I always find, of course, where you're heading uphill to try and get on the loud pedal as early as you would want there, and then through the next chicane there, I always find it really difficult again just to sort of spot your marking as you head through there. But of course, through the end of Sector 1, Sainz has actually set the fastest lap so far of qualifying on an 11.2. Whether we're going to see me able to improve on that as we head into Q3, that is the most important thing here as you head down the back straight over there, braking just as you head under the little bridge and then through yet another chicane, of course. In a weird way, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and actually Baku from last weekend are very, very similar in, obviously, both very, very high-speed circuits, but of course very, very low-speed corners as well there. So, yeah, I mean, we can often draw quite a lot of parallels from these two venues there, as one of the Alpha Towers does peel out of the way of Carlos Sainz down in towards the Wall of Champions chicane as he comes to finish off his lap here. The pressure is always so ridiculously high. Never want to make a mistake through these final couple of corners, but out of the final turn, up towards the checkered flag, Carlos Sainz, what is the first time on the board going to be? It is going to be an 11.4 there, so not quite where he would have wanted at the end of his first run. They're a couple of tenths away from where he was able to go in Q2. But yeah, currently though, Charles Leclerc just behind one of the Red Bulls, and they just again peel out of the way there. But Charles Leclerc, no faster than his teammate in Sector 1. They're actually a tenth and a half down from Charles Leclerc. Maybe just got held up slightly behind, I think that was Sergio Perez, but we'll wait and see how the rest of the lap unfolds. And up over the line then, Charles Leclerc only improves to P3, behind Pierre Gasly then at this early stage of the session, but we saw so often at the start of the year, Charles Leclerc was able to get that last-ditch attempt lap in. Where was he losing the time to Carlos Sainz? I can't see because Sainz is back in the pit lane. Thanks, F1 Manager. Such a weird session so far, though. Carlos Sainz, seemingly the only driver that's been able to get a good representative in here in Q3. But you can see there, George Russell, Bottas, Gasly and Leclerc separated by just 12 thousandths of a second behind him. And you got Max Verstappen down in P6, both Red Bulls way out of position as well. But Charles Leclerc now, will he make it 9 pole positions in a row in Formula 1? I can't quite remember off the top of my head what the record is. I'm pretty certain it is most definitely Ayrton Senna back in the days of his McLaren Honda domination. But can Charles Leclerc get one step closer to maybe matching that record in his Ferrari car there as he heads through the first sector? Is he up at the moment? Yes, he is. Purple through the first sector there from Charles Leclerc. Love to see that at the first few corners there, only marginally ahead of the lap time set by his teammate Carlos Sainz. But if Sainz can improve as well, this is not going to be over until everyone has finished their laps there. Sainz is the last man on a run, and you can see there he has gone quicker in Sector 1. 3 thousandths of a second between our two drivers there. So, I mean, that's less than you blinking your eye between them in the first sector of the lap there. Charles Leclerc only green in Sector 2 here as we're going to ride on board with him actually as we head down in towards the Wall of Champions chicane there. Hamilton can't improve there, stays in P6. Tsunoda actually ties with Max Verstappen and pushes the Dutchman down into P8 as everyone else heading up towards the start-finish line. Though Verstappen goes P2 there, just a tenth away from Carlos Sainz. Can Leclerc take pole? Yes, he can! By 32 thousandths of a second there, and Sainz, he's not improving in Sector 2 then, so can Carlos Sainz make the difference, or will it be 9 pole positions for Charles Leclerc on the bounce there, out of the final corner, up towards the line for Carlos Sainz? I think he's done it! Yes, he has! Carlos Sainz, by 2 thousandths of a second there, takes pole for the Canadian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc's reign of terror over pole positions this year is over with that lap there. Neither driver going quicker than they managed in Q1 or Q2, but it's yet another front row lockout then here for the Canadian Grand Prix. Of course, we've got heavy rain ahead of us come Grand Prix Sunday, but Sainz on pole for the first time ever in Formula 1. How is that going to shake things up? Let's get into it then. Canadian Grand Prix time. This one is about to get spicy. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super, super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Tension continues to build here as race day begins.
These past few days, Ferrari have been absolutely thrilling their fans. Now let's see if they can make the Tifosi proud by capitalizing on that grid position. This weekend, Red Bull displayed promise during qualifying. Now they need to capitalize on their grid position and get a good race under their belts. And the sun is shining bright here today. This is perfect weather for teams and drivers alike to show us what they're capable of.
But don't forget, there's always excitement in Montreal, and the odds are that this will be another Grand Prix to remember.
Right, well here we are then, race day here from Canadian Grand Prix, and I'm a little bit worried the fact that it's not looking like we got heavy rain before the race. Let's have a look at the report. We can't even get any information still, can we? I don't think. Ready for this one. So it is going to be changeable conditions then here in Canada. What is the strategy saying? It doesn't reckon there's rain. It doesn't reckon there's rain. We might just have been saved here in Montreal there. It reckons there's a fair chance of it quite often through the afternoon. There it picks up a 40% quite early on, 40% a bit later, and 40% again, and once more before the end of the race. Why can't the rain sort of just stay consistent on F1 Manager? That is the question I am asking, but we're gonna try again some slightly different strategies between our two cars there. Charles Leclerc is going to go on to plan B, whilst we're going to leave Sainz on plan A here. Should mean they, you know, hopefully don't quite trip over each other at the start of the race, as once again I'm going to try and brim the tanks with fuel, but 70 laps ahead of us, though, around this circuit. There is still a very good chance we will see rain. 50-50 are not odds that I'm a particularly big fan of, but 40-60 is slightly better, and I've just realised I've actually put the drivers the wrong way round on strategy. Carlos Sainz starting from pole. We are going to give him the soft, hard compound early on in this race, but yeah, let's get into it then. Canadian Grand Prix time. Carlos Sainz on pole. Is the championship challenge now on for the Spaniard? Can he make it 2 wins in a row for the first time this year? Let's get into it.
We have beautiful blue skies overhead as the drivers line up on the grid. Taking a look here at Carlos Sainz. They're starting today at the head of the pack, but will they be able to stay there? Leclerc there, down the grid. They're in second place on the grid, but that could so easily change in the first few seconds of the race. And we're just moments away now. This is it. We're moments away now at the Canadian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
And there we go then, Carlos Sainz, good start, but not a good start for Charles Leclerc there, as immediately Max Verstappen going to try and have a look up the inside through turn 1 there. Oh, look at this Charles Leclerc though, not willing to give up on it. Out of the first couple of turns there, and Verstappen is still going to be on the outside as they head up the hill here at the start. Carlos Sainz though, this is perfect for him as they're still side by side. Down through the next chicane there, Verstappen finally gets the move done and will move up into P2 then off the start of the Grand Prix here. As, yeah, he is on medium tyres as well there, so Verstappen just cat-like reactions there and might try and apply pressure to Sainz early on in this Grand Prix. Looks like no one opting to start on the hard compound tyres there, but Perez, Bottas, Gasly and both Mercedes also on the softs there, as well as Zhou Guanyu, who's on a bit of an alternate strategy way down the order. Everyone else though on the mediums here, as Carlos Sainz has done everything he could have dreamt to off the start of this Grand Prix. We are just going to try and allow him to push early on here and see if he can build up a little bit of a gap over Max Verstappen behind us. Immediately we'll tell him to go overtake mode as we head down the back straight. Let's just monitor, see if that gap does open up ever so slightly here, as Carlos Sainz, like I said, he has got to really try and go for it early on this weekend there. But no, it looks like Verstappen is also trying to push quite hard here in the early stages. So could the Dutchman, once again then, we've only really sort of seen it at a couple of races this year, but I suppose Albert Park, pretty similar, a venue in relative to Montreal as well. But then again, we said that, and we also said Baku was quite similar to Montreal, and Red Bull weren't miles away, but they weren't particularly close that weekend either there. As Carlos Sainz, again, like I said, we're just going to let him try and pull out a gap early on. Can we get Charles Leclerc to try and hound Max Verstappen as well here, and maybe give Sainz a bit of breathing space? Further down the order, though, Bottas still in P5, they're ahead of Pierre Gasly, so Mercedes are probably really scratching their head there. The fact that AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo seem to constantly be able to make upgrades that are working quite nicely. But yeah, Sainz just opening up that gap early on, almost now at the golden 1 second zone. Of course, that's really what you're aiming for on F1 Manager early on in a race there. As you can already see, Charles Leclerc trying to apply pressure to the Dutchman just a little way behind. But Carlos Sainz, yeah, this has been the dream start for the Spaniard there. We'll tell him just to deploy again down the back straight. And there we go, immediately. The gap now up to 1 second. Of course, we do, you know, we like to focus on both drivers. We like to see what's going on within the team. But if we can just try and give ourselves a chance to have a bit of a breather for one of them, that's always quite reassuring as well. So just again, tell him just to save battery down through the final couple of turns. But out of the final corner, then again, Max Verstappen trying to defend from Charles Leclerc as we head over the start-finish line there. But DRS now enabled, but Sainz hopefully will not have to worry about that early on in this race. Now, of course, the real question is when will he need to pit in comparison to the Red Bull and his teammate behind. But Sergio Perez, as we've often seen so far this year, despite being on those softer tyres, just dropping away ever so slightly from Leclerc and Verstappen. So here we go, Charles Leclerc then, already on lap 3, straight up the inside of Max Verstappen. He'll go there, down through the chicane. Is the Dutchman going to be able to fight back against him off the exit of the corner? No, it doesn't look like he is there, and he might be under pressure from his teammate Perez as we head down in towards the hairpin. And yeah, Sergio Perez now all over the back of Verstappen. Let's just watch that move again as we didn't get the best angle for it. And you can just see Sainz into shot there. Leclerc, tremendous straight line speed down the back straight, slots the car up the inside. Max Verstappen there has the inside on the exit, but just can't quite put the power down. And Charles Leclerc back into P2 then, as like we said, Perez now applying pressure to his teammate. So just trying to see if we can get Charles Leclerc out of this DRS zone there, but don't want to feel like Sainz is being pressured too much either early on. It's such a balancing act on F1 Manager, especially, you know, when you're trying to give your drivers a fighting chance early on. I'm trying to keep them pretty even between the pair of them. But yeah, I have told Leclerc try and defend from the cars behind here. I mean, this Ferrari is no slouch down the straights. If I was Christian Horner, I'd be considering, of course, Perez on those soft tyres, telling him to absolutely go for it for a few laps, you know, let them swap over. Obviously, Perez would then have to pit quite early, but we know he can try and save the tyres to the checkered flag here. But here comes Max Verstappen in his Red Bull once more there. Is he gaining enough on Charles Leclerc? Look at the top-end speed that Leclerc has got. No, Max Verstappen just has to slot back in once again as we head down through the final couple of corners. And now we'll get Leclerc maybe just use a little bit more battery and fuel as well, as I think he has just about once more done enough back into the first braking zone. But we will sort of just see what Carlos Sainz can do with a bit of push. We'll tell him just to bring back down the fuel usage, but he may as well use up those tyres nice and early, because they should. Of course, he's going on to hards anyway to the checkered flag. It is just a case of whether we can do something out of the box for Charles Leclerc to maybe get a little bit closer. I'm trying to keep it fair, but I'm trying to give both drivers a fighting chance against each other by out-strategizing myself. It's not really working, but hopefully you know what I mean here. So here comes Verstappen again, heading down the back straight on lap 5. No, again, the Dutchman just sits back for now. Oh, here we go. Max Verstappen again, though. He just looks to the inside, but doesn't have the top-end speed early on to try and really apply pressure to Charles Leclerc here. But already, this is looking out perfectly for Sainz, as now we can see maybe Max Verstappen able to get a bit more of a run back down towards turn 1 there. No, just sits back for now once again. Is trying to get Leclerc just to sort of conserve as well. Going to tell him not to try and hold up Max Verstappen anymore. Maybe that'll allow them to close up a little bit to Carlos. But tyre wear-wise, again, you know, those soft tyres don't last badly on F1 Manager, and Sainz isn't using too much more than his teammate behind. Oh, here we go. Just accidentally missed a move there as Charles Leclerc under pressure from Max Verstappen. I think both Red Bull cars are actually able to get through there, as you can just see Verstappen. Now we're not getting Leclerc to defend as aggressively. Can't quite make anything happen. And I'm guessing Perez basically does the same thing back down towards turn 1. Yes, it looks like he does. So still got a lot of management then on Charles Leclerc's side of things. Team a bit gutted with that, but we are early on into the race. So, you know, we're just going to sit there and not worry about it too much. As no, Perez has got past both of them. So I'm not too sure what's happening quite early on in this race. But yeah, Leclerc versus Verstappen is the real battle we're worried about. I think, you know, we've certainly got the pace and the confidence to get back past Sergio later on. But is it worth now just trying to make a move happen on the Red Bull car? You know, we say all this and then immediately I start panicking again. So we'll try and get Leclerc back past Sergio there. I'm hoping now if the Red Bulls can trip over each other, then maybe we've got a bit of a chance to try and pull away. As let's just see then, what is the top end speed going to be like of Leclerc's Ferrari there? To the outside of Sergio Perez he goes. Surely this one's a done deal down in towards the final chicane. Yes, it is, by an absolute landslide there. So Leclerc, again, I'm sure very, very happy with the top-end speed of the car at the moment. We'll just tell him to go back into neutral energy, I should say, not neutral at all there. But back up then into P2 of the race, and this is what we need. Verstappen now moves past Sergio. Let's tell Leclerc to go for it and see if we can open up a gap quickly. You've got to try and jump at these opportunities there. As you can see, the Dutchman's slightly offline in towards the next chicane there, and the gap is opening up slightly there, up to 9 tenths now. 9.5 tenths. Come on, we can do this. Come on, Charles Leclerc. Push like crazy. It is going to be mighty close when they get over the detection point here. Has Charles Leclerc done enough ahead of Max Verstappen just behind him? I think he might just have done so there. Let's have a look. Yes, he has. Perez still battling Max Verstappen then. And that is critical for us in this race. The Red Bulls have tripped over each other. We still need Leclerc to push, though. We can't let him just sort of slip back in towards these two's clutches immediately. But Leclerc gets out of the range there as Red Bull, once again, just having a bit of a civil war by the looks of it. Yellow flags out. I think it's one of the Mercs. I think, oh, it's Lewis Hamilton. Often a man that's done well around this venue. What's Hamilton done then on lap 13? He's got an AlphaTauri up the inside. And I don't know from that camera angle whether there was contact or not. But Hamilton left stranded on the outside of turn 2. And that's not what he and Mercedes would have wanted. Toto Wolff, I'm sure, will be slamming the desk. Is that a member of Daft Punk in the background? It looks like it could be. There we go. Mick Schumacher now down at turn 1 as well. What on earth has Mick done? I don't think this is any relation to the Hamilton incident there. As big lock-up from Mick Schumacher. And he's going to do the same thing as Albon did and somehow teleport his way to the wall. 2 yellow flags, though, down at turn 1, and somehow no safety car. And even more crashes going on down at turn 1. This time around, I think it's one of the Aston Martins. What on earth's happening? We've got yellow flags out. Are we going to see a safety car early on? Lance Stroll, other homeboy, with an incident then. What has he done exactly the same thing as Mick Schumacher? It's the weirdest crash I've ever seen. Yes, he has. Look at that. Just big lockup. I mean, that was more impressive than the others. Lance Stroll clearly trying his damnedest there to wreck his Aston Martin. But, yeah, Sainz still leads the way. 5.5 seconds clear now over Charles Leclerc as we get towards 1/5 distance in this race. And, I mean, obviously the real question is, will Leclerc have better pace later on in the afternoon when they're both on the hards? Or, of course, could Leclerc maybe go medium softs? That's the other gamble, but Sainz isn't doing badly on those soft compound tyres. Maybe he could go soft medium. You just don't know. Let's having a look then. Other battles up and down the order. Seems like, again, you kind of get a lot of DRS trains, it feels like, on F1 Manager. We've got a big gaggle of cars fighting for the last couple of points paying positions. And Nicolas Latifi, first man into the pit lane here. Bottas and George Russell going side by side down at the end of the back straight there. So this is what we want to see. Mercedes current driver and Mercedes former driver there as one of the AlphaTauris. That's, of course, Pierre Gasly trying to get involved in it as well. But yeah, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri both delivering super well at this stage of the game. Mercedes, like I said at the start, probably scratching their heads at the moment as someone else is locked up. We've got yellow flags down in Sector 3. Is it one of the Red Bulls? As they're still side by side, it's all going off for a lot of the other cars there. One of the other cars with issues, that's Magnussen now with stuff going on. And what did Kevin Magnussen do? That is that turn 9? I don't know why I went so high pitch, but K-Mag, yeah, lucky to keep it out the barrier in a way that not many others have so far. Here we go, still riding on board then with those Red Bulls side by side through the first couple of corners, and this is allowing Leclerc not only to break free from them, but also now started taking a little bit of time out of his teammate Carlos Sainz. There is Perez. Yeah, maybe, you know, perhaps there's a little bit of multi-21 down at Red Bull, although it would be 111. But Perez, yeah, is trying to give Max Verstappen a run for his money, whether it's better for the team or not. Starting to then come into the end of lap 20 here. Tyres are still looking pretty good at the moment, but the team are saying you should box. They're going to try and extend it another 3 laps there, try and get him down to about 40% wear. As Sergio Perez then in the Red Bull into the pit lane. Of course, they have spent a lot of the early afternoon battling each other though, so not too surprised to see that one. As Hamilton is the next car on Sainz's hit list a lap. Never thought we'd be saying that just 20 laps into a Formula 1 race. The gap to Charles Leclerc behind is coming down now for Carlos Sainz, so we are just going to tell him to box at the end of this one. Hard tyres, pit this lap. The only other thing I'm thinking about, of course, is because Leclerc's still going to be on a faster tyre for a few more laps, this could really be the defining moment in this Grand Prix to show whether Leclerc has got more pace than Carlos. Of course, Sainz took his first ever pole position in Formula 1 yesterday there as he peels into the pit lane at the end of lap 23 there. Pretty much 1/3 distance in this race, so those hard tyres should seem quite nicely to the checkered flag. But yeah, so far Charles Leclerc pretty often this year has had better pace, of course. Sainz won in Jeddah due to a safety car. Won in, obviously, last week out in Baku due to a virtual safety car. Miami was only the real race, and it kind of felt a bit backwards that he was able to win that one, as obviously he ended up somehow underfueling the car and still making it work by using the DRS from Leclerc late on, and then somehow had enough to go for it there. As Sainz just around the outside of one of the Williams. That is Nicholas Latifi once more. Always a bit scary when you're lapping Nicholas. But yes, Leclerc, we're probably going to box him in about 5-10 laps time, but I'm interested to monitor the gaps between the two of them, as we've got another car spinning out there down at turn 1. I think that is a Haas car. I think that might be Kevin Magnussen for the second time in about 10 laps. There's a crash, several cars involved. What on earth's going on? Are we going to see a safety car in this race? No, Magnussen's just picked up a penalty for it. Let's have a look then. What did go on down at turn 1 then? I don't know. We haven't got a good camera view of it. K-Mag, what is going on in this battle? We're having a look at something else then. It's not even Kevin Magnussen instance. Oh no, there is K-Mag. And George Russell kind of just stops and maybe offers him a lift. That's all I'm going to decipher from that one. And we've got a Williams. It's just in the back of the shot. Just Latifi decides he's going to have a picnic there. Canada is very, very weird on F1 Manager, apparently, as Lando Norris has spun as well. Is it just everyone's going to go for a trip this weekend? Let's have a look then. What did Norris do? Saw George Russell pull over and just decides he's going to do some donuts, apparently. Oh, we've got more crashes going on. I think we've got a safety car. We have got a safety car. So Charles Leclerc then, this should have been the time to pit him in this Grand Prix there. And could we now... Charles Leclerc's going to have to go hard to the checkered flag. Sainz, though, could go mediums to see him through to the end. So we're going to tell... No, we won't tell Sainz... do we tell him? No, I think we tell him to pit in this race. There is Yuki Tsunoda at the Grand Prix. Of course, retired from the real-life Canadian Grand Prix down at turn 1. What has he done this weekend? There has he gone into the back of the Alpine? No! Oh! That is a huge crash for Yuki Tsunoda. That must have been a brake failure, because I see no reason how we could have misjudged that so badly. Here we go then. Sainz is into the pits at the end of lap 29 there. But of course we have got the Delta out, so I'm not too sure. Obviously the safety car is going to pick up Charles Leclerc next time round. Well, neither of the Red Bulls though into the pit lane, so Sainz is going to have a little bit of work to do there, sitting behind Perez and Max Verstappen. Here actually might not be behind Perez. Perez just heading down the pit lane now. Of course Sainz has got the shorter run back in towards turn 1, or turn 2 even I should say. And will he come out ahead of Perez? Yes, he will. Sainz just out ahead of Perez there. That works out quite nicely, as Leclerc, yeah, will box at the end of this one. And of course, Leclerc can't go on to a set of medium compound tyres to the flag, of course, because he's already on them. So this could work out really well for one of our drivers, but at the moment we don't really know which. 40 laps to go then here in Canada. We're not even at the halfway stage of the race. It is going to be a tall order for Sainz to try and take those tyres through to the end, but Leclerc will still be comfortably out in the lead of this race, and he is going to be on fresh hard tyres as well. Here we go, safety car in at the end of lap 31 then, so it hasn't been a particularly long one here, and neither driver saved enough ERS. Luckily we have got the Williams in the way, so we're going to actually ride on board, I think, with Sainz off this restart there. As you can see, a gaggle of cars just behind him, but Charles Leclerc there leading the way down in towards the final corner. We can see the safety car coming out of view as we've just got Lance Stroll, who's desperately trying to close up to the rear of the field there. Leclerc desperately trying to get heat, though, into the rubber. As when is Charles Leclerc going to go down in towards the final corners? Has he gone for it? I think he has. Charles Leclerc then leads the way out of the final turn, as we have now got chaos behind, as obviously the Williams have got to try and peel out the way for Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz there. One of the Williams gets out the way for Carlos. The other one, though, trying to battle Max Verstappen through the first couple of corners there, and Sainz needs to go for it off this restart if he wants any chance of fighting for the race victory today. As there we go, Alex Albon does peel out the way off the exit, and yeah, now Sainz back up then into P3 of the race there. We have got Max Verstappen still in P2, of course, has already worn those tyres in slightly as Perez just gets caught out a little bit more, but safety car restart seems to have gone about as well as we could have sensibly hoped, as we've still got that Williams trying to move out of the way of every other car behind, but it is just a case of, is 40 laps on a set of medium tyres there just a bit too long for Carlos Sainz? I wanted to give him a fair shot with a slightly different strategy, but he is going to have to push. Sainz is already getting feisty, though, with Max Verstappen here as we head out onto the, well, down towards the hairpin here, and then ready, of course, for the back straight. We are going to let Sainz go for it. Just one attempt here down out of the hairpin, as we'll tell him to go full attack mode then on Max Verstappen. He won't have the DRS just yet, but surely the straight line speed of this Ferrari on slightly softer rubber is going to make a big difference there. As are we going to see Carlos Sainz moving past Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix? He's all over his gearbox down towards the final corner, but can't make anything happen just yet. Often, though, we can get a good run off the exit of the turn. And here we go then, Sainz looking this way and that, but Max Verstappen trying to defend really aggressively back down in towards the first corner. Can Sainz send it, though, round the outside of his former AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso teammate? Yes, he can. And Verstappen now relegated back into P3. Sainz now up into P2 of the Grand Prix. We're just going to tell him to go back onto neutral ERS there. And now you can see the gap under 1 second between him and Charles Leclerc. We now have got to be a bit hands-off here and let these two duke it out, because, of course, Sainz has got quicker tyres, but Charles Leclerc certainly is going to be able to have a much easier run to the checkered flag on his set. As there we go, Sainz has got the DRS, though, on his teammate, and now you guys keep telling me you wanted me to let them race. We're going to have to put that to the test. Oh, here we go. Carlos Sainz with the DRS, though, just on the very same lap. Is he going to be able to have a look up the inside of his teammate Charles Leclerc there? This one has come a bit by surprise, side by side through the final chicane there, and it was almost fireworks between the two Ferrari drivers, as somehow Sainz hasn't got the DRS there, still looking to the outside of Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen is right in the fray, though, as well. Don't forget about the Dutchman here, as I'm letting him race. You want me to let him race, boys? And this is exactly what's going to happen then. Max Verstappen now right with both of the Ferrari cars still, as will Sainz be able to find a move on Charles Leclerc, as we got another safety car then in this Grand Prix. Safety car has been redeployed. Who now has binned it in this race? We've got no one out of the Grand Prix. Neither car is going to box under this safety car. We are, though, however, going to get them both to harvest their battery and, of course, save tyres. I want to see what's happened to Stroll down at turn 1. Come on, let me look, thank you. I had to try and click about 60,000 buttons there as Stroll on the Tiffy. It's the battle of the Canadians. And he's done that again. He's done that. That was a weird crash, Crofty, is what that was. But safety car redeployed. Sainz not, Stroll not out of it, though, by the looks of things. He wasn't off the timing screen. Oh, yeah, he is. He's off the timing ladder now. But safety car been redeployed. And now things once more get interesting. Right, safety car then in once more at the end of, I think, lap 37 here. There's still no threat of rain at the moment. We have got to be a bit careful, though. Perhaps the rain was meant to arrive after the race, and now with two safety cars, that could turn into right towards the end of the Grand Prix. But Charles Leclerc once more then will lead the way. This time around, though, ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. As you can just see every car there line astern down in towards the final corners. And as soon as there's any chance of green flags, everyone fans out there. You want to try and get a good look at what is going on in front there. As Charles Leclerc then, down in towards the final corner, will lead the Grand Prix once more there. Carlos Sainz, though, right behind him. Will he be able to fire up those softer tyres quicker there? As look at everyone fan through the final couple of turns there. That is incredible camera work on F1 Manager. But yes, Sainz now, I'm sure, will once again want to try and apply the pressure to his teammate. I'm letting them race. We'll put them both up onto rich revs there because they've got 10 and 11 laps worth of spare fuel. But I am letting them race because that's what you want me to do. And therefore, that is what I will do on F1 Manager there. Max Verstappen's still right there. Perez still P4. Russell's up to P5 there ahead of Bottas and Esteban Ocon, as Gasly seemingly a little bit further down the order. But 16 cars, 6 seconds between them. Sebastian Vettel could still win this race, don't forget. So are we going to see Charles Leclerc now get a run on are we going to see Carlos Sainz, get a run on Charles Leclerc once more as we head down in towards the final couple of corners. Again, though, of course, DRS not enabled just yet. Max Verstappen, I'm sure, just waiting in the wings. You know, there's a lot at stake this weekend, and say, for example, our two drivers took each other out, Max Verstappen could take the win there and basically catapult himself back into championship contention. But Sainz just sitting back at the moment. He has got slightly more spare fuel than Charles Leclerc, but we've got more issues. Please not another safety car. Someone else is locked up. It is Valtteri Bottas that's going to plummet down the order. That's certainly not when you want to lock up. Did he do it into the wall of champions? No, it's actually turn 1, and he's done the thing. He's done the thing, but not hit the wall. Bravo to Valtteri Bottas. And here we go then, about to start lap 40. We're going to get the note for DRS has been re-enabled. And now, surely Carlos Sainz this time around down the back straight is really going to try and give it a go on Charles Leclerc. Getting both back just down onto balanced for now. As Verstappen, he is still right there waiting in the wings. I'm sure Verstappen is wanting fireworks. So here we go, first test with the DRS. Are we going to see Sainz have a look to the inside? No, he is not. He's just going to sit back for now. Perhaps waiting for a move down the back straightaway here. And you can see he's just all over the gearbox of his teammate. But 10 laps in then to the stint. Sainz is not going to have fun on those tyres towards the checkered flag, I can't help but feel. No, he's slightly more than 10 laps. Of course, a lot of that has been under safety car. But yeah, really what he wants to do for his own race, of course, is get past Leclerc, let Leclerc battle Max Verstappen behind, and hopefully try and build up a bit of a gap there so we can save the tyres towards the end. Leclerc goes defensive, though, down in towards the wall of champion chicane. Are we going to see Sainz pull a move off around the outside there? That would be an incredibly brave move out of the final corner. He's still got the DRS, though, and now Max Verstappen's going to try and get involved as we head back down towards turn 1 there, and he's done it as well. So Charles Leclerc loses 2 places in one moment there. Leclerc, I'm sure, not happy with that one. Of course, his teammate with a very, very aggressive move out through the final turn, and Leclerc slots back down into P3, and that is not what Verstappen... that's exactly what Verstappen wants, though, because he's still well within the range of Carlos Sainz. But Sainz, again, you might have to get Sainz to push a lot more, and maybe box later on onto a set of soft tyres to be quick at the end of the race, because I'm not convinced those mediums will see him through to the checkered flag. We're going to let Sainz try and pull out ahead of the DRS, and we are probably, I think, going to have to commit him to another pit stop here. And of course, the other benefit we have of Sainz trying to get out of the range here is the fact now Charles Leclerc can really just try and hound Max Verstappen, as now the gap's... Oh, it was over a second very briefly. Is it going to stay over a second by the time they get down into the detection point? Yes, it is. I'm really trying to micromanage things at the moment as we stay on board with Charles Leclerc. Now, with Verstappen without DRS, are we going to see Leclerc get straight back around the Dutchman? Of course, we're trying to help both our drivers out, but also trying to help themselves. It's very, very complicated here on F1 Manager. Verstappen has somehow kept hold of the DRS, but surely Sainz is now out of the range. He's got no battery, though, to try and use either. But Leclerc now, is he going to be able to get a run on the Dutchman back down towards turn 1? Verstappen now might sneak back inside the DRS range, so we do need Leclerc to try and go for something at some point, as that Red Bull in the slipstream has got some phenomenal pace, and Sainz just can't seem to break away. This is not what we need for Carlos Sainz there. He's probably going to have to pit about lap 55. I want him to try and be out ahead of George Russell so we can absolutely hang these guys towards the end. But we need Leclerc to try and apply more pressure to Max Verstappen. Otherwise, Sainz could be out of the contention for the win, despite the fact he's in the lead. So here we go, out of the final corner then, about to start lap 44. And look at this, Verstappen is now all over the back of Carlos Sainz again. So this is not working for Carlos at the moment. He's got no battery left. So we head in towards the first braking zone, and Verstappen, Leclerc, and Perez are all just lining up, trying to make a move work on Carlos Sainz there. Like I said, we're going to have to box him again. These tyres are not going to see him out to the checkered flag here. They're just taking too much wear, and we may as well just completely steer into the skid and try and give him a big fighting chance late on in the afternoon. We'll get him to just save a little bit of fuel there, but you can just see the tyres are not going to make it as far as we would like, I don't think. They are only dropping a couple of % a lap. Tyres are too hot. Could Sainz make it? Have I got my maths wrong? I don't know what's going to happen here with Carlos Sainz in this race. We've got 26 laps to go. The tyres are still at over 70%. I'm not convinced he won't make it, actually. I think we've got to let Sainz just sit back now and battle these cars. I reckon he could still be within a shot to win this thing. I clicked fast forward. There was a crash on the circuit. Magnussen's binned it down at turn 10 as Max Verstappen got the move on Carlos Sainz there. What on earth happened to K-Mag at the front of this little group? He's got McLaren trying to have a look up the inside there and just panics under pressure. And second time round that Kevin Magnussen has gone deep down at the hairpin, and this time round he has completely parked up inside the tyre barrier. But anyway, yeah, Verstappen's pulled off the move then for the lead of this race, which is not what we want either. Red Bull comes Sunday. They might not have had the pace early on, but ever since the safety car, they have been bang on the money again. Here we go. Carlos Sainz having a look round the outside once more. Oh, Max Verstappen, that is a power move from Carlos Sainz, who will re-inherit the lead of the race, and I'm still not convinced Sainz is going to be able to make it to the checkered flag here on these soft compound tyres. I'm just monitoring the tyre wear. He's losing about 2% a lap, so that would leave him on about 15% by the end of this race, just over 2% a lap, and 15% is not worth doing on one set of tyres there, as Leclerc moaning about tyre temps as well, but this DRS train is just not helping Carlos Sainz's race strategy. Here we go, Verstappen again, up the inside of Sainz, back down towards turn 1, and I'm monitoring this. Sainz can make it to the end. I've decided once and for all, Carlos Sainz can make it to the end of this race on those tyres there. As up the inside he goes of the Dutchman at the first couple of corners. Red Bull have well and truly upped the ante this weekend. Sainz complaining, but he is still right there with Max Verstappen. Now the Dutchman slots back in to the lead of the Grand Prix as we're now at 2/3 distance in this race. Sergio Perez there, still trying to think about making a move work on Charles Leclerc behind, but I've got no idea what to do with our two drivers at the moment. Do I get Leclerc to really just sort of haggle Max Verstappen at the front of the field? Do I let Sainz do it, of course, still on those softer tyres? He's on 64% wear, but I don't know what to do. I'm so confused at this stage of the day. Both drivers are pushing in terms of fuel. Leclerc has got a lot more battery, though. I think we might have to play a little bit of a strategy here and just let Leclerc go for it just this once. We're going to tell Sainz not to fight his teammate at the moment. Although saying that, is he going to get a run on Max Verstappen back down in towards the final corners here? He's having a look to the outside of Max. You know what? We'll let him have it for now. And now, oh, this is all going wrong at the moment. I'm getting so confused, so worried. Sainz has let Leclerc through. I told him not to, but he has, and he's let Sergio Perez by as well. So now we're going to have to try and get Leclerc to go for it on Max Verstappen there, up in P2. And Leclerc is immediately trying to get around the outside of Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc then re-inherits the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix there. First time since the safety car restart Leclerc's done that, but absolutely nailed it there, and suddenly we've gone from 2-3 to 1-4, and Red Bull have completely inversed the strategy. We've got to let Leclerc go for it. Leclerc, you have got to try and build up a 1 second gap now or never in this Grand Prix. This could be race defining for Charles Leclerc. As you can just see, Verstappen gains a lot down the end of the DRS zones, but can we see Leclerc just attack a little bit more out on towards this next section of the circuit? Can he try and open up that gap to 1 second here? We've just got to give him a bit of a chance to go for it, so we'll tell him just to flick it into overtake mode down the back straight. Of course, that's going to mean he's going to use a bit more battery at the high end there, and you can just see now 9/10 of a second, 1.1 seconds. Leclerc, this could be where you win this race, my son, because he might be able to now have a look to try and break free. Carlos Sainz couldn't manage it earlier on, but again, the gap just comes back down at the end of the straights there. So Charles Leclerc has not quite built up the gap just yet. We're going to have a little bit more battery, though, to try and go for one more attempt. As Charles Leclerc, despite all that battling, does set a new fast lap of the Grand Prix. He's got to deploy, though, through this first sector. Like I said, this could be race-defining for Charles Leclerc. He's got absolutely every opportunity now to try and set himself free once more here in Montreal. 9/10 of a second, 1 second, it's out of the zone before he gets back into the DRS window. And has Charles Leclerc now broken free in this Grand Prix there? Yes, it looks like he has. We've got another car locked up. We've seen so many of these today, I'm not sure I can handle any more of them as we get towards that 50 here. But Leclerc's done it. Leclerc is out of the range. We can get him back just to settle down once more in this one. We'll leave him on aggressive, though, because he will have the tyre life to the checkered flag. But now we can just focus a little bit more on Carlos Sainz and micromanage his race, just to try and give him a bit of a helping hand. As we can see there, Perez now trying to lock a move on Max Verstappen. But Leclerc, that is the difference between Leclerc and Carlos Sainz there. You give Leclerc one shot to go for it, and he breaks free. You give Sainz that chance, and he just can't quite seem to make the difference. As here comes Perez on Max Verstappen down the back straight. Red Bull are still duking it out as well, though. This has been a brilliant battle between the top 4 cars so far this Grand Prix, and Sainz, we're just going to get him to save some battery for a couple of laps and really try and settle down here. Is he going to be able to have a look past Max Verstappen? Yes, he is, back into turn 1 there. So Sainz back into P3 despite the fact he's saving energy, and that is beautiful for him, but he's got to try and stay close to Sergio Perez in front. It's Carlos Sainz again, though, on Sergio Perez. This battle is just unrelenting at the front of the field there, and round the outside he goes. Both drivers just complaining of slight ERS wear, but that's nothing too big to worry about at this stage of the Grand Prix, as now will Sainz be able to try and get away from the Red Bull? I'm not convinced he will. In fact, if anything, I'd bet Sergio Perez is going to be able to get back past him down the back straightaway here. Less than 20 to go, though, and Sainz still on 54% tyre wear here, so it should... Oh, it's going to be so close for Carlos Sainz late on in the day. I'm honestly tempted to box him now, or inside the next couple of laps there, just so he comes out ahead of George Russell. We can then hope that the Red Bulls continue to squabble, and Sainz then can try and take time out of both of them. That, I think, might be the strategy. I know I've dilly-dallied so much on what Sainz can do late on in the afternoon, as Perez now round the outside back down at turn 1. But all this squabbling between the 3 of them is doing none of them favours here, and I can't help but wonder, with 18 laps, surely Sainz could close up about a second a lap here, and you can just see he's tripping over Sergio Perez once again. I think we take him to about lap 55. Maybe it's a good omen. Of course, it is his driver number in Formula 1, and then we will box Sainz onto a set of soft tyres to see him to the end and hope that he can romp his way past both of those Red Bulls late on in the afternoon. Here we go then, Carlos Sainz. You know what? We're going to attempt to box right now. Pit at the end of this lap onto a completely fresh set of these soft compounded tyres here. We're going to have to monitor what Red Bull do in terms of strategy, as Perez just holds him up a little bit into the pit lane there. Leclerc is still free and safe out front, but if Red Bull now, of course, tell both their drivers just to focus on getting the cars home for their first... Yeah, I think it would be their first double podium of the year, wouldn't it? Red Bull, of course, often have finished P3 this season. But of course, when Max Verstappen won that race, Sergio Perez was way down the order. But are we going to see Perez and Verstappen continue to battle? What is the gap going to be for Carlos Sainz? Is he going to come out ahead of George Russell? That's the other big question I had at the moment. I thought he would just about have enough, and yes, he does. Sainz now back out just ahead of George Russell. Why are the tyres on 40%? Please say that's a bug. Please say that's a bug. Why is Sainz's tyres on 40% wear? We pit him onto fresh tyres. Did we not? Don't say the team have put him on the wrong set of tyres. I'm adamant. It said they were full. Sainz is not going to be able to make it to the end on these tyres. The team have completely botched it there. I'm adamant that was a full graphic on those compounded tyres there. Unless I'd mistaken when you highlighted it, the fact they go more red. But I'm adamant that said they were a full, clean set of tyres this late on in the race. We're going to have to box Sainz again at the end of this lap there. Those ones have got 93%. I can completely confirm that one. But I am so sorry, Carlos Sainz. We have Ferrari'd it for one of our drivers. We've got yellow flags out, though. Mick Schumacher down at turn 3. Not going to worry about that all too much. But Sainz is going to have an absolute... Oh, this is a disaster. He's going to be out down around Mick Schumacher in this Grand Prix. And even if he just wants points, he's going to have to try and fight his way back through the traffic. And like I said, I'm so sorry to Carlos Sainz here. No, we're not going to box him yet. We're going to keep him out a few more laps, actually, and cancel the stop there. We want to try and get him out ahead of that whole gaggle of cars, ahead of Zhou Guan Yu, ideally. So, Sainz, you are going to go full attack mode once more. I don't want to screw you in this race, mate. I'm so sorry for that. But we're going to try and give him a fighting chance still. Yes, Sainz not happy with these tyres, so we are going to box him at the end of this one. And I'm adamant those tyres said they had full life in them as we come towards the end of lap 56 here. 1/5 distance left to go in this race as Albon has boxed once more. But looking at the gaps, it might still be quite close, actually, between him and Zhou Guan Yu. So he might have just done him a bit of a... Well, we've screwed him in this race, so I'm not going to try and argue against that. But we might not have screwed him as badly as if we'd boxed just a couple of laps ago here. Sainz has taken out all the last usable life on that rubber. Charles Leclerc at the front of the field, still just comfortable and actually pulling away from the Red Bulls. So I've got no doubt in my mind that Sainz would have been able to get ahead of those cars there, as we have got a couple more people into the pit lane. Where is Zhou Guanyu going to re-emerge in comparison to Carlos Sainz? So he is going to be out ahead of him, I think, but Sainz isn't going to be far away here in this Grand Prix as they head back down through turn 1. Hamilton trying to make a move. Sainz will re-emerge in P10 then, so he is still in the points. As we got a safety car! No! Sainz could have pit under the safety car and been absolutely fine in this race. Do we box Leclerc, though? That's the other question. I think we box Leclerc. But Sainz is so... I mean, those tires... They say 97%. We have to box Leclerc here. We cannot let Red Bull get the jump on him. It's both Red Bulls! Both Red Bulls have crashed. What has happened then? Down at Red Bull, this has been a monster shunt between both of their cars. They've been battling all afternoon, and this just adds insult to injury because there's no doubt Sainz would have got him. Perez just misses his braking point, and both Red Bulls out, similar fashion to Azerbaijan 2018, but that promotes Sainz back up into 8th place then. You know what, late on, he could still finish P2 here. Right, safety car in then at the end of this lap, and again I forgot to set both drivers to save their battery. It's just an absolute disaster here in the final stages of the Canadian Grand Prix. But 3 safety cars, both Red Bulls taking each other out, and now, out of nowhere, Sainz has got a chance to try and stay and potentially move his way back up into P2 here. There's going to be a lot of micromanagement for Carlos Sainz towards the end of this race, but I am prepared to do it. Sometimes you guys say I don't focus enough on Sainz during these Grand Prix. I'm going to monitor the gap, though, at the front and make sure Leclerc breaks out of the DRS again, because we certainly don't want to throw away the race victory to George Russell and Mercedes here. But Charles Leclerc is going to lead the way once more then as we head down in towards the final corners. Sainz is on full attack mode for these final few laps. We didn't see a lot of cars into the pit lane there. Look at that already. It's Carlos Sainz there on the offensive. But I mean, Leclerc, he's got fresh soft compound tyres against a Mercedes on a set of mediums here. And look at this, Sainz immediately trying to get himself into the fray once more. Surely Charles Leclerc is going to be able to build up this gap there as Hamilton moves past Zhou Guanyu back up into P5 of this race. Esteban Ocon could be on for an Alpine podium here. I'm pretty certain they got one back at Monaco, if I remember correctly. But what a race that would be for Esteban, as we need Sainz to go big. We need Sainz to go for moves here. He's got to try and start cutting his way through the pack, because this could end up not being the absolute worst race result in the world there. And immediately then, there we go. Carlos Sainz to the inside of Valtteri Bottas. He's going to have so much more braking performance down in towards the chicane. He takes a lot of curb on the way in there, but surely he's moved past Valtteri Bottas in this Grand Prix. Yes, he has, and immediately he's on the offensive on Zhou Guanyu as well there. This is what Sainz has to do later on in the race, and let's be fair, if Leclerc can't break away too much at the front, he could still try and battle his teammate. No, he probably won't actually. He's on soft as well, isn't he? Charles Leclerc there, but he's not going to be far away by the end, as Charles Leclerc just extending the gap at the front of the field there. But I cannot believe what the Canadian Grand Prix has turned into this weekend. It has been a monster episode so far, and we've still got 10 laps to go here from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. There is Sainz out of the final corner. Is he going to be able to get a run on Zhou Guanyu? We need the DRS back before he can sensibly just try and start picking cars off one by one. Saw Sainz last time around able to get a run on one of the Alfa Romeos. So I'm just going to attempt to go deploy quickly as we head up the back straight. But again, no, not quite able to do anything just yet. So we'll try and go attack mode then down in towards the final couple of corners. Leclerc is just pulling away at the front of the field, but still felt it was a safe move to make. Of course, because we didn't know, if Russell pitted. Obviously, I thought both Red Bulls would pit, but it was actually them that caused the safety car. Here is now, can we get Carlos Sainz up into P6 then of this Grand Prix? Again, I'm so sorry to Carlos late on in the afternoon here, but will he be able to make a move on Zhou Guanyu? He's not getting enough down the back straight there, so Carlos Sainz now try and hope for something back in towards the first corner. Zhou Guanyu will still be within DRS range when that, of course, is re-enabled. And now you can see, there goes Carlos Sainz around the outside of Zhou Guanyu, back down in towards turn 1 there. That should be a done deal in towards the braking zone, and I think it is just about there. Yeah, there we go. Sainz has completed the move. Next up, Lewis Hamilton. So here we go. Sainz up the inside of Lewis Hamilton there. He's complaining about tyre temperatures, but he's got to go for it on the most successful current driver of the Canadian Grand Prix. I think Hamilton is the most successful of all time here. But Sainz, another move made, and now he's going to try and look past Pierre Gasly as well, as he's already back up into P5 then in this race. 8 laps to go here at Montreal, and are we now going to see Sainz potentially try and make a move there? I think we might actually get him to harvest just a little bit of battery for the next lap or so, because he's not going to be close enough, and Ocon has lost the DRS range as well there. So Gasly going to try and have a look up the inside of Esteban Ocon down towards the final couple of corners. Sainz has got to go for it now in this race. Can he get a run out of the final chicane here on Pierre Gasly? It's so difficult to try and time the runs at the moment, and Sainz just slots back in for now. Doesn't want to make it 3 wide in towards turn 1, so I will tell him to harvest some energy. Oh, here we go. Sainz up the inside of Pierre Gasly. Oh, I can't quite make it happen there, as now Gasly is probably going to be able to get the run on Esteban Ocon once more. So again, we'll just tell Sainz just to get back in towards neutral here, prepare himself to go for the move again. As you can just see how quickly he closes back in there. Just going to tell Leclerc to tone it back. He's got nothing to worry about late on in the day. Don't want to risk him making a mistake late on when I'm not focusing on him. But now Sainz, you've got to try it now. You cannot get stuck in this train late on in the afternoon there. And already you can see the running traction he's able to get out of those final couple of corners. It's fresh softs versus old hard tyres there. The battery, though, is completely empty. Is Sainz still going to be able to find something down in towards the final couple of corners here to the outside of Pierre Gasly? This would be a fantastic move there. He takes a lot of curb off the corner, but again, can't quite make anything happen. Gasly now going to try and have a look for a move on Esteban Ocon as we head down towards turn 1 there. Sainz has got to be brave. Up the inside of Pierre. He goes once again through turn 1. Is he going to be able to get around the outside through turn 2? How is Sainz not finding the moves? He's got everything at his disposal there, apart from a little bit of battery. But surely in those moments, it's all about the tyre grip, and Sainz just can't do anything. So here we go. Gasly clean around the outside of Esteban Ocon down at the next chicane there. And now, come on, Sainz. We can't let you just trip over these boys towards the checkered flag there. I can see George Russell. He isn't pulling away much, but he is certainly pulling away at the moment, as Sainz has just got to again save the battery. Really what we wanted to do is slingshot past both of these cars. We saw him make a daring triple overtake back in Saudi Arabia, of course, if you remember, right back towards the start of the year. But now we're going to see Gasly on Esteban Ocon once again down in towards the final couple of corners. 6 laps to go of this Grand Prix there, and surely Sainz, you've got to find a move somewhere. You have to go for something as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Ocon still jockeying for positions with the cars behind there. He's actually under pressure from Lewis Hamilton again behind him, and this is not what we need from Carlos Sainz at the moment. He's just not finding the moves. Why can't he find the overtakes here? He's got such a superior car to all of these around him, and it's just not happening. Ocon again trying to make a move happen on Pierre Gasly is now. Come on, Sainz, got to try and get around Pierre as we head down in towards the hairpin here. Is he going to be able to get around the outside of the Frenchman there? If he can keep alongside him on the exit, he should be able to get better traction off the corner. And Sainz now on full deploy once more. Does finally move past Pierre Gasly in this Grand Prix. He's going to have the battery from, the DRS even, I should say, from Esteban Ocon in front of him. As are we now going to see Carlos Sainz try and make a move back down towards turn 1 there. He's got past one. He's now got to get past the other. And if he can do this now, which it looks like he will, he can now go in full pursuit of George Russell, who is still up in P2 of this race. This is not over. Carlos Sainz could still do it. 5 laps to go with this Grand Prix. And Sainz, you have still got a fighting chance here, my friend. Here we go then, end of lap 67. I've just got Sainz to tone it back slightly on the tyres there, but we're going to get him to go full deploy again as we head out onto the back straight here. Surely George Russell, with no DRS to defend himself, this is going to be a sitting duck situation for the Mercedes driver there. But are we going to see Sainz be able to make the move down in towards the Wall of Champions chicane here, back for P2 of the Grand Prix there? He looks up the inside of George Russell, and I think he has just about pulled the move off. He's going to have the DRS off the corner, and Carlos Sainz has done it. Back into P2 of the Canadian Grand Prix here. I'm so sorry I made it so difficult for him. It certainly made it interesting for us. And now Sainz, you can just relax towards the end of this race there. We're just going to tell him to just keep it standard there. We can afford to burn the fuel towards the flag. But now, 3 laps to go. We're finally back up into a 1-2 position. Sainz has been well and truly screwed this race. I apologise to him again profusely, but he is still hopefully going to walk away with 2nd place, and that is mega impressive. As here we go then, Charles Leclerc about to start the last lap of this Canadian Grand Prix there, and probably the craziest race we've had so far this year. It had carnage, controversy, so many incidents, of course, that massive shunt between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen there. I'm sure Red Bull will potentially be looking at some repercussions for Sergio. Maybe we'll see him in the AlphaTauri next weekend with Ocon. With Gasly getting a chance back at the big team. But Charles Leclerc, he's absolutely done it again this weekend. You know, he probably did deserve this race victory, especially after he was able to get the gap over those Red Bulls. But Sainz, yeah, felt like he could have had a fighting chance late on in the afternoon there. The gap has actually come down over these last couple, but of course that is because Sainz has been pushing just a little bit more here. But Charles Leclerc, after not quite able to win last weekend in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix there, he has come back once more. He never lets anyone else get more than one race victory in a row. And Charles Leclerc, as he heads down in towards the final couple of corners, it will be his first race victory since the dominant display back in Spain. But what a well-deserved win it is going to be there. Didn't take pole on Saturday. Carlos Sainz has certainly proved now that he is fit to fight Charles Leclerc week in and week out. But down in towards the final couple of corners, Charles Leclerc has led a big chunk of the second half this afternoon, controlled the pace, been cool, calm and collected, and through the final couple of turns, Charles Leclerc is going to win the Canadian Grand Prix there. A valiant effort and a full 25 points. Well deserved.
And ticket flag.
Let's take a closer look. Charles Leclerc there, taking home the win.
Just an incredible demonstration of why they belong in Formula One.
Well, this was definitely Charles Leclerc's weekend. This podium is a true recognition of everyone who's been working so hard for this result. And the Monegasque driver certainly proved his worth with a terrific drive today. You've got to say it was a solid drive from all three of them up there. A fantastic showcase for Formula One. Ferrari had a very good race, proving they're definitely a team to contend with.
Not bad at all. The team in the pit will be happy with that.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
For the next round, we're heading back to the heart of the UK. Get ready for a race to remember in Silverstone, the cradle of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Canadian Grand Prix, and it is Charles Leclerc that walks away with pole position. Oh, no, sorry, didn't walk away with pole position there. Sorry, fastest lap and a race victory. Carlos Sainz, though, like I said, a brilliant race weekend from him, despite 4 pit stops. I'm so sorry to Carlos at the checkered flag there. Got so unlucky. I mean, even if we just pit him 1 lap later, he would have then, of course, been still in P2 on the safety car restart and could have given Charles Leclerc a run for his money there, but that's the way Formula One goes sometimes, and yeah, I just apologise to him. Further down the order, Esteban Ocon, with, I think that's his first podium of the year, but the second one for Alpine, if I'm not mistaken. They're up 7 places, no, sorry, he's not, he's 4th. George Russell even got his first podium of the year, if I'm not mistaken, in P3 there. Ocon up 7 places, though, into 4th. Hamilton, a decent recovery there after, of course, his early issues, still finishes P5 ahead of Gasly. Zhou Guanyu up 8 spots there, very good race by him for some big points ahead of Bottas, Norris and Fernando Alonso. That means championship-wise, though, we do see Carlos Sainz extend the gap over... Sorry, we do see Charles Leclerc extend the gap over Carlos Sainz once again. They're 23 points between them, as Red Bull have taken a huge hit this weekend. Hamilton somehow still ahead of Sergio Perez there. Gasly jumps Alonso, Zhou Guanyu jumps Daniel Ricciardo, and Vettel on countback, sorry, jumps Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher. Constructors-wise, though, that is a mammoth gap that we open up ahead of Red Bull. There are 146 points now as we head in towards round 10 of the season. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed, and we will return hopefully tomorrow, ready, if I'm not mistaken, for the British Grand Prix. that is where things are going to get incredibly spicy. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.